is this going to get?
You have psychopaths and sociopaths in charge. I mean, look at them. Just roll off the names. Look at the faces. Sarkozy, Cameron, two little tough boys that start wars. They've probably never been in a schoolyard fight, but they're willing to send other people to go fight and bleed and die and kill, thousands of people. So they have no conscience. Look what's going on with the wars in Afghanistan. 10 years, and they roll out these Boy Scouts like Petraeus, as they call them in the New York Times, a Boy Scout charm. Oh, wonderful. Remember this cat said that, we're making impressive progress over there. Now they make him the head of the CIA. That war's going on for 10 years. How many tens of thousands of people killed, both on their side and all the wounded people and ruined for life and dead from our side? How about that wonderful Iraq war? Oh, you remember, Alex. They had weapons of mass destruction and ties to Al-Qaeda over there. We ruined the entire country, depleted uranium everywhere. They estimate 1 million people dead. Trillions of dollars of our money spent. Oh, we're going to get out of there. Don't worry about it. And now they're building up forces over other places in the Middle East. You have people that are out of their mind that are running the show. And I keep saying it over and over. Let's make it really simple. The same people that are the politicians and the top bureaucrats are the same people that you hated in high school and college that wanted to be class president and head of the student council. That's all they are. The suck-ups, the brown-nosers, the glad-handers, the insincere, the overly ambitious, and the outright liars. Now they're telling us what to do. You couldn't stand them in high school, and now you're going to watch them you wait on line as the motorcade goes by?
Well, now you're going to watch as their hired enforcers grab your wife's breast, fondle your 3-year-old's genitals, and bark at you. I mean, there's only so much. And I guess they think we're so broke back that we're just going to submit to them. And, you bring up mafia. We always knew the CIA was bringing in drugs, $500 billion a year industry. Now they just have Geraldo get up there with his Stromboli mustache, and he just gets up there and tells us, hey, the Marines are growing the opium because that's how we fight Al-Qaeda, and we ship it into your kids. And there's this disconnect. I've talked to military people, and they're like, well, yeah, we are over there. We do grow it. It goes on the planes, and I guess it goes to America. And I'm like, but if you get caught with that, you go to jail because they want to keep the price up. I mean, this is, will they start barbecuing children on the White House lawn? I mean, will it be like Planet of the Apes where they just ride us down for fun? I guess they already do if you try to protest. I mean, it's just like this government is literally out in the open.
It's everywhere. They're doing it everywhere. Look at the cops beating up people all over the world. And they're nothing more, again, than enforcers for crime bosses. That's all. Cops aren't bad. I got to tell you, up here in Kingston, New York, they're terrific. They don't bother you for little crap. They're 5 blocks away. They're lousy neighborhoods. There are drugs, the whole scene going on. That's what they're putting their attention on. But what's happening, though, is they want to keep the people under control. You mentioned about what happened during the breakup of the Soviet Union and how the people took to the streets. What happens, though, is one group of criminals comes in and takes over for the other group. It has to be in the hands of the people. If we're going to call this democracies, let the people vote. And that's why we're starting the movement directdemocracynow.org. Let's make the people vote on critical issues. You want the TSA? Let the people vote. You want to continue the war on drugs? Let the people vote. You want to start another war or end wars? Let the people vote. You want to continue the Patriot Act? Let the people vote. We don't need a gang of 535 senators and congressmen telling 312 million people how to tie their shoes.
Gerald, when you talk about where do you, I mean, I know you like to calculate everything and then, write the journal and be real careful about it. And you predicted the whole movement we're now seeing and the Tea Parties, all of it. But looking forward into the future, something's got to give. I mean, the establishment's got to know that all this police state garbage is not actually breaking the will of the average person. The people I know are angry. I mean, I'm in an airport line now. Women, men, they're all talking trash about the government. They know it's a bunch of bull. I talk to reporters that are told to go out and do a positive story about the TSA. They've got to interview 40-plus people to find one person that likes it. Then that goes on the news. The newsrooms are all hating the system. I mean, it's like people out there are waking up, but still so many people in the system are still playing along with it. But more and more, there just reaches a point where people don't care anymore. And I think that's the real Achilles heel, historically, but also currently. These ruling elites think they've got the anthropologist, the sociologist, the psychologist, and they think they're in control. But, I mean, they are not in control. And I agree with you. I'm concerned about an out-of-control revolution in this country, and then something as bad or worse comes in on the back of it, because I mean, let me tell you, there are a lot of people. I mean, here's an example. They're devaluing the currency. There's all these veterans. They're telling them, get ready. People that spent 20 years in, we're going to cut your pension in half. And there's all these old vets, a lot of them, you know, who have health problems, whatever, who are just waiting to go crazy and start attacking the government. And this isn't going to be some fake terrorist thing. This is going to be the real deal. I mean, I don't think the system realizes, I guess they do in their own memos, they say veterans are the most dangerous thing. Well, it's true. I mean, at a certain point, they're going to keep smacking people around, and there's a lot of people, you know, the system has taken the population's restraint as a sign of weakness, and it's not that. Good, nice, friendly people are extremely violent inside, much more than evil people. Anybody who's been around knows that, and it's restraint. But once it starts, once good people get violent, it's not pretty, Gerald, as you know. Can you speak to that?
Yeah, I think on the first point, do the people at the top know what's going on down at the bottom? No. To an extent they do. They're very worried. But again, look at that show they just put on and are putting on at the G20 meeting. You know, again, it makes the Academy Awards, Oscar night, look like, you know, small time. And it's a perfect let them eat cake moment when you see how out of touch they are. You know, I mentioned, and I may have mentioned on your show, you know, when I began my career, I used to run political campaigns in Westchester County in New York. And then they sent me up to Albany, and I was the assistant to the Secretary of the New York State Senate. So I got to see things firsthand, and it was the worst job I ever had. I'd be hanging out in the back of the Senate chamber with my buddy, you know, chit-chatting about this or that. You know, I was a young guy in my 20s. And all of a sudden, the doors would open. A sergeant-at-arms would open these big doors. I guess that's how they got the name, sergeant-at-arms. These big arms open the doors. And in would walk this fat, sloppy senator. And my buddy would leave me as in the middle of a conversation and follow the senator like a little puppy dog and pull out his chair and help him sit down. Then he'd come back and I'd say to my pal, what's the matter? The cat can't sit down by himself. He needs some help. That's what it was all day long, Alex. Grown men sucking up to get to the top and bowing down. So what happens is you get a whole culture of these senators and congressmen and politicians. They don't put on one leg at a time when they put their pants on like we do. They have these people that they call them aides and staff. It's better called serfs and slaves. A bunch of gutless little weenies out there that want to do everything they can, that if they suck up enough, they could move up the ladder. So they're out of touch. Look at the film. Look at how every time we see these senators and congressmen, look at the lavish trappings around them. Look at the numbers, how much money they're worth. They don't have to worry like the rest of us do, whether or not money's coming in. Look how they show up when Obama or any of them with motorcades a mile long, they close down New York City when this cat goes for a fundraising dinner that you got to cough up $38,000 for and disrupts the entire end of the Manhattan. So look what's going on. Do they care what we're going through? Let them eat cake. They don't have an idea. Is it going to turn violent? It already is.
Well, Gerald,
and what I'm saying is they're going to use the violence with the agents provocateurs mixed into it to use it as another excuse to clamp down on us even harder. And as you well have documented with the FEMA camps, with the atrocities from Homeland Security, from the microphones now in the camera, in the lights, on and on and on. Big Brother is not only watching us, they're in bed with us. So the worse the violence becomes, the more they clamp down, because they're not going to hear the message. And that's why what we're saying is it's not going to make any difference who's in office. The Republicans or the Democrats, the Gambinos or the Bananos, you know, Goldberg, iceberg, what's the difference?
Well, I mean, unfortunately, you're right. And you know, we've seen this type of psychology throughout history, but I'll never forget about, I don't know, 15 years ago or so, I went down and sat in the gallery and watched the Texas House of Representatives. And it was all these men just completely getting off like a bunch of little kids in make-believe, strutting around and talking and glad-handing. And, you know, the men looked like they had makeup on or something. And they get off on these awards and press conferences. And they really are stunted. I mean, I would be embarrassed if people were pulling my chair out. I would be embarrassed if people were all taking me serious like that, because it turns it all into a joke. But I guess I'm the weirdo compared to these people. There's never enough banquets or never enough people kissing their butt, never enough red carpets. I mean, I like nice things. I like going to a nice vacation spot, or I like going to be able to get the cabin at the national park or whatever. I mean, I like nice things, but I certainly don't want a bunch of the having the nice thing to pose status-wise is an embarrassment. It's an anachronism, and I just don't. You're right. I mean, it is a culture of these vapid, hollow, and I'll watch them. They'll sit around having dinner together, and it's all completely fake when they're talking to each other. It's total crap.
I love the way they laugh, too. You know, the Joe Biden laugh. Ha, 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 ha. Rose doing, ha, 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 ha. And then every time you see these guys, when they're doing something, there's always like 20 of them around. You know, when they're signing a bill or whatever, when somebody's talking. How come they're not working? You know, how come they're wasting their time? You or I can never get away with that. I know the people that work with me can't get away with that. But they can, and we're paying them. We're paying them to do nothing. And so that's what's going on over here. There's a total disconnect. It's robbery to the nth degree that we don't have a representative form of government. As you're seeing what's going on in Greece, in Italy, in the U.S., the only people they represent are the special interests, the powerful, and the people that give them money. Oh, they call it campaign contributions. Adults call it bribes and payoffs. So what we're saying, Alex, is the only way this thing comes to any kind of a sensible solution is let the people vote. And then I keep hearing, by the way, you know, you have the trolls out there, as you well know. They say, listen to Salenti. 51% of the people, we could have mob rule if they vote. Oh, mob rule? What do you think you have now? You have the mob in power. Only 535 of them. They call themselves the Democrats and the Republicans. Or in other countries, the Social Democrats or this or that. The mobs are in control. So we're saying, let us create the future. And by the way, interesting with these Occupy movements. I believe they are going to succeed as long as there's no leader. As long as there's no one. Look what happened to WikiLeaks when Assange became the face for it. Boom, they knocked him down. These phony charges, or alleged charges, I should say, about sexual harassment of two women that picked him up over in Sweden, you know? So they have a head. Right now, these Occupy movements, it's about the total system. It's not about one person. As long as it stays like that, it's going to be successful, I believe.
Well, Gerald, looking at this, if you go back to 888, the start of the Olympics 2008,